Was this the Bitcoin bottom? People have been asking for a very long time now, when and where will the Bitcoin bottom be? And while this video will not give you an 100% answer, there are a couple of things we've seen happen over the last year that give us reason to believe that the bottom actually could be in on Bitcoin, and there's several different levels of support for that reasoning. Let's go ahead and dive into the charts and look at what those are. So in the last two bear markets, we have seen about a year pass from peaks to bottoms on both of these last ones. And guess what? This most recent bottom was that year-long date from the all-time highs back in November of 2021. So that's just one reason to suspect potentially we could see that the bottom is in. But let's dig here just a little bit deeper. Let's take a look at a falling wedge pattern that we have been in on Bitcoin now ever since that big fall we had back in May of 2021 when Elon Musk decided to sell his Bitcoin and the resistance that started at the all-time high in November. We have several touches of resistance and support, making this a valid falling wedge pattern. But what just happened here a couple of days ago is that we just broke this resistance. Could this be a fake out? Absolutely. But this is major to break a downtrend that we have been in for over a year. Another thing that we see at the bottom of bear markets is daily bullish RSI divergences. You can see this during the bear market of 2014 into 2015. We had our daily bullish divergence form right there. Moving over to the bear market of 2017, 2018, you can see it was a little bit smaller, but sure enough, our RSI starts to split. And right now, after this FTX collapse that we had, we also have it formed here on the more recent bear market between the dates here of June and now here the bottom of November. Now, daily bullish RSI divergences happen all the time. Not every single one of them is the bottom of a bear market, but what we have seen in the past is that every single bear market bottom comes with daily bullish RSI divergence. So this most recent fall back in November was very crucial to set that bullish divergence. Staying with our RSI, a lot of people have been worried about this massive pump that we have gotten overextended to the upside and potentially we need to correct to the downside. Now this makes a lot of sense. I would actually tend to agree, but I noticed when doing a little bit of back testing of the bear markets, notice what happens on RSI after coming out of bear markets. We come bottoming out and then we explode getting overextended, but yet the rally does not stop simply because we got overextended. Same thing with the bear market back in 2014, 2015. We come to get overextended and then it continues to the upside despite the fact that we have to correct. In the same breath, potentially, even though we're overextended right now, could we see the RSI start to make its way to the downside, all the while Bitcoin's price continues at worst to move sideways and to the upside itself? But things get a little more interesting when we start to pull in some moving averages, starting with our SMAs. Now here on the daily chart, we have been above the 200 moving average for a while now. This actually has not happened all the way since back here in January of 2022. But another thing just happened here just a couple of days ago, and that is that our 20 SMA just crossed back above the 200. This has not happened since almost that exact same date back in January. So two major things we have not seen in over a year have just happened that are one more reason to believe that potentially the bull market is back on. But let's go a little bit deeper using the EMA ribbon tool. Now out here on the daily chart, you can see this is a great tool that shows us some bullish action and some bearish action. This has marked all these red lines and green lines by the 20, 25, 30, all the way up to about 55 by the counts of 5. And it turns green every single time that the 20 SMA goes above the 55. Likewise, it turns red every single time the 20 goes below the 55. You guys can notice here on the daily chart, we've had little moments during this bear market of turning green, but we've just turned green here before this rally just a couple of weeks ago. Where it gets really interesting though is moving out to the 2 daily chart, where you can see that for the first time since back in December of 2021, 1 month after the all-time high, we have just turned green a couple of days ago. There are a lot of things happening for the first time in a very long while. And while that's not a 100% guarantee that the bottom is in, you got to start looking at all these pieces and the confluence and start doing some thinking for yourself. Going back over to the daily chart using this EMA ribbons, the two places that turn green, I want to talk about them very briefly and discuss what was happening around that time. Those of you who remember, back in March of 2022, we were starting the interest rate hike to get rid of inflation, but at the time, Jerome Powell was super dovish. There were chances and reasons to believe that potentially we were going to be rallying up to the upside once again and go to a new high. Of course, people were wrong, but due to the news at the time and looking at the chart, it was easy to believe that potentially that could have been a rally. But of course, as we start to move back to the downside, this is when we started to see things collapse in the crypto space, turning us back red and sending us to the downside. Even moving over to the more recent green that we had back here in November, it leads me to a very important question. Could we have actually had the bottom at 17,600 if it hadn't been for the FTX collapse? What do I mean by that? If you notice, right here after 17,600, we actually had bottomed out and began to build momentum, hence the reason why we started to turn green on that ribbon here on the EMA ribbons. The problem is just a couple of days later, a black swan event, FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried's fraud hits, sending us even lower. What I noticed, though, is how quickly we jumped back up after this news seems to settle. Not to say that everything with FTX is over, but it seems like the market has come to grips with it, and hence we've exploded back up not only to these levels that we were at back in November, but we've exploded above them. Wrapping up this video, anything is still possible. We very much could see things go lower than the current bottom at 15,500, but we're starting to see the bullish narrative pile up that the bottom actually could be in right now. Let me know in the comments, though, what you think. Also, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this, and I'll see you in the next one.